It's the Turbo and 2K show. What is up, 2K crew? A little preempted there. But your eyes do not deceive you. For the first time in about a month, we have live, in person, Mr. Kyle 2K's Kaler. What's up, brother?
What up? How's it going?
Good. It's good to have you back face to face, my friend. It's been a while.
Good to be back. Finally got over the old COVID train there that ran through our house for the last, basically 2 weeks. And everybody's on the up and up. Everybody's supposed to be going back to school now, back to work,
Thank God.
Back to normal. So,
yeah.
And let me tell you, our house needs to get back on track because things have been a little bit hectic. I was actually the first one to catch it, so I was the first one to get back to the normal routine. So I was back in work last week.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, Mom is ready to get these kids all back to school.
Oh, I'm sure.
And get back to a little bit of normal living at the Kaler household.
Yes. When we had our our little bout with it over Thanksgiving, it was. Those are probably the 10 longest days, I think, in the history of mankind. And it's not so much just staying in, it's just you can't leave.
Mm-hmm.
You can't leave, which is the hardest part.
Yep.
But it's good to have you back, my friend. Good to see that everything is on the up and up. And you know what's on the up and up, 2K? So the NFL fucking playoffs are in full effect, man. In a season where I think I would be really, really, and this is something as a host I should do a better job at, but to see how many times an underdog beat a favorite. Because we're seeing this run rampant not only through the regular season, but leading into the postseason. And as it sits right now, underdogs are 3-0 this weekend. As we're recording this right now, it is just started the third quarter, 14-14 Bills Chiefs. And for those of you that are, I do see a handful of you watching live on YouTube. I want to thank each and every one of you. If you haven't, go ahead and smash the like button. Drop a comment. Let's get a conversation started. And go ahead and share the video. And for those of you that are listening on the podcast side, welcome. Go ahead and give us a follow and a like. And if you guys are feeling extra saucy, go to buyturbobeer.com, buy 2Ks and I a beer, and we will feature you on the show, and you'll be financially supporting the show as well. Well, 2Ks, let's jump into this, brother. Saturday, yesterday, what a big day! A big day! And I think overall, one of the things that jumped out to me yesterday compared to today is just the weather in both of these games today. I mean, how I understand last night one of them was in Green Bay, the frozen tundra, the snow, and then we go today to Tampa where there's no frozen tundra, no snow,
sunshine, palm trees.
Perfect.
There's a little bit of a different feel on that game today than both of them that we watched last night.
Perfect TB12 weather. I mean, if you're one of the commentators, you want that game in Tampa. You don't want to be like Joe Buck last night, freezing your ass off in Green Bay. But before we jump into kind of our analysis and everything like that, I did want to, we're bringing it back, the Twitter feed, or the things from Twitter with Turbo. I still haven't figured out a good name for this yet. But Mr. Chad Finn at Globe Chad Finn says, decent chance Tom Brady wins more Super Bowls with the Bucs than Aaron Rodgers wins with the with the Packers, excuse me. When I saw that, I was like, you know what? Dude's probably not that far off. Mm-hmm. I mean, we can talk about how is Aaron going to be there next year, which I think so personally. Their off-season, the off-the-field stuff seemed to be rectified, with management and everything like that. But if this is his last hurrah there, TB12 says he's not retiring until he's like 70.
Yeah, but he's kind of going back on that now. I mean, some of the conversations that he's had just this week, and then just today after the game, some things kind of possibly leading to him not returning. And it wouldn't shock me. And then how much more can he really do? I mean, how much more does he need to do to prove that I think he's he's done more than enough to
Yeah.
prove that he is the GOAT, and I don't see that changing anytime soon. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a very good possibility that we don't see either one of these guys play for either one of these teams. It would not shock me if Brady was done. It would not shock me if Brady come back. I think there's a better chance that Brady comes back and plays than there is a better chance that Rodgers returns to Green Bay.
You think so?
I think Rodgers is done in Green Bay.
I don't.
There's just so much going on with Green Bay now.
You fire the special teams coordinator, for fuck's sake. It's been
Yeah.
and then we'll get to a tweet about that. But Jesus Christ, it's something you've known about all season. It's not like it just popped up. So, but no, in my heart of hearts, just listening to, especially Rodgers on the Pat McAfee show, Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays. I think he's okay there. But
a lot of free agents coming up, and he said it himself last night. He doesn't want to go through a rebuild there.
Which I don't blame him.
A lot of question marks with Devontae. Devontae's the best player they have right now.
Yeah.
And Aaron Rodgers would be stupid to not say that Devontae's not a huge deal. I mean, his success, a lot of it has to do with Devontae being there on the field. I would
100%.
say that Devontae could do this with a lot of other quarterbacks. That's how good he is. I don't know if Aaron Rodgers could keep doing this without a receiver at this caliber.
Yeah.
So I think Devontae's the more important guy there. It's pretty clear. Green Bay will probably franchise tag him, but we see the drama that this franchise tag has brought up through other organizations over the years. Does Green Bay just get this deal done with and lock him in? Does Devontae even want to be locked into Green Bay?
That's a good point.
But I can tell you right now, he doesn't want to be franchise tagged.
No.
And so now, we might be seeing an offseason where we're not going to know what Rodgers is going to do, because if I have any guess at all, I'm saying Rodgers is going to hold off as much time as he can until he decides what he really wants to do. And as far as Devontae, there's a chance we might be seeing a holdout from him. That's what we see out of most players now that are being franchise tagged, especially players his caliber. So there might be a lot of drama going on in Green Bay. It's not even a matter of there might be. There is going to be a ton of drama in Green Bay this offseason.
And follow that with, the previous, off season. So it's definitely worth keeping an eye on, because, you're talking about two of the most polarizing players in the NFL, period. And I have a feeling that you're not going to get just one of those guys. You're going to have to figure out some way cap-wise to keep both of them, but yet still stay competitive. Because, they're both going to garner their own, their own price tag, and rightfully so. They're, like I said, they're two of the best players at their position in the entire league. So definitely going to be something we're going to keep an eye on for sure. Let's get to another one of these tweets here. And here we go. By Darius Butler, at Darius J. Butler, D-Butt. All of the undercover hub Arcruz came out of the woodwork on Twitter last night. A. Rodgers really getting under people's skin, I see. And that is Mr. Which Pat called him Pornhub. He was the one that came out and was just bashing Rodgers earlier in the week. So that's kind of what that is a tone to. And, it follows, that one follows up. I think it's this next one. Nope. Where is it? Here it is. Detroit Sports Podcast, which is at Detroit Sports Podcast. Rodgers watching Packers special team film tomorrow, and it's the classic meme of Rodgers laying down with his chin strap across his nose. So, those two kind of go hand in hand with each other. And for those Lions fans, if you're on Twitter and you're not following Detroit Sports Podcast, you need to, because they drop some awesome shit on there all the time. But yeah, when you're as polarizing as Rodgers is, you're going to garner some hate regardless.
Sure.
And a lot of the NFL drama this offseason, this season, has kind of been around him, and by most of his own accord. So, it has to be kind of frustrating, coming from his point of view, where everything you say, everything you do is so nitpicked and broken down that it would either cause you to speak out more and be like, yo, listen, motherfuckers, this is not what I said.
Mm-hmm.
And I said this because of this. Or you just shut down and be like, you know what? Fuck you.
And that type of spotlight comes because of the player that he is.
Sure.
You know, a couple years ago when Brady was, we were trying to figure out what Brady was going to do, if he was going to stay with the Patriots or if he was going to go to Tampa. You know, all the spotlight was on him. All the spotlight was on him, and deservingly so. We're talking about the best quarterback in the game. Well, Aaron Rodgers is right there. He's in that conversation as one of the best quarterbacks in the game. Obviously, the spotlight's going to be on him. He made it pretty damn clear this offseason that he was not happy with how things were going in Green Bay. Mm-hmm. Some of the decisions that were made that he was not in on. You know, he made that very, very clear. Mm-hmm. Well, of course, the media is gonna try. You know, that's gonna draw a lot of attention.
Oh yes.
And then with the whole, you know, the spiel with the vaccine, I'm not even gonna get into that.
No.
Because it's not even really true sports talk, and I don't even want to spend any time talking on it. But you know, when you're a polarizing figure like he is, mm-hmm. Sure, I mean, people are gonna talk about you. And you know, get ready because it's going to happen all this offseason too, because people want to know. Mm-hmm. People want to know, is he going to come back to Green Bay? People want to know, is he going to be going somewhere else? Mm-hmm. Is he going to retire? I mean, with him, this is the thing. We all, and I think that's this is for us as fans, for us as, you know, kind of being in the sports media, the most frustrating thing with Aaron Rodgers is you don't know what he's going to do. He's not predictable.
Well, if you rewind the clock, we've been through this with Green Bay. It seemed like Favre was retiring every year, and then he, you know, the ownership would jump on a plane and go down to Alabama and, you know, talk to him, and then next thing you know, he's flying back up, and you know, he basically held the Packers kind of hostage for like the last 3 or 4 years he was with them, and then finally he leaves, you know, does his Vikings thing, does his Jets thing, and then finally retires. So if you're a Green Bay fan, you're pretty much used to this, because I mean, it was less than a decade ago, or a little bit more than a decade ago, that same shit. I mean, but when that all was happening, the Packers had Rodgers sitting there. Now, Jordan Love is sitting behind Rodgers. I'm not trying to compare the two. I'm just comparing the two situations. Yeah. You know, but at the time, you know, Rodgers fell so far in that draft, and then everyone was criticizing Green Bay for taking him. So, is it kind of the only difference is Green Bay traded up to get Love. Yeah. Rodgers just kind of fell to him in that draft. So.
And I understand the hostility there with Rodgers and that offseason where, you know, they basically go out and they trade up and they draft his replacement, which now they're coming to find out I don't know if this guy is the replacement because there's nothing I've seen out of him that makes me think, oh, this is the quarterback of the future for the Green Bay Packers. And what did Green Bay need the most?
Receivers in line.
What did Green Bay need the most last night? Another fucking receiver to step up other than Devontae Adams. Yep. Or the second best option was Aaron Jones in the backfield. Mm-hmm. They had nobody step up. I mean, people can say whatever they want about that game last night. Somebody else has got to step up and get open. Yeah. And when they were panning out and showing everything downfield and what Rodgers is seeing, look, Rodgers was not sharp last night, but there was nobody gaining any separation at all. No. You know, where was Allen Lazard, who has played great down the stretch of the season, kind of stepped up as that number 2 option. Mm-hmm. One catch last night. You know, that's not acceptable in that game. I mean, I don't care what the conditions are. We all knew it was going to be cold. We all knew it was going to snow. We knew that the field was not going to be, you know, in good shape because of the snow in the second half of that football game. We knew that. That's an advantage to the receivers, not an advantage to the defensive backs.
Yeah, because the receiver knows where they're going.
Yes, somebody's got to step up. Yeah. And, you know, the first thing that you start reading, you know, last night, this morning, is everybody's ripping into Rodgers and Rodgers this. And, you know, that shit's going to come when you're the best player on the team. You're the best. He's the best Packer of all time. There's not a Packer that's better than him. Ever. Right. And look, and I'm not, it's not like, I know people are probably listening to this like, oh, 2K is the fucking, you know, Rodgers lover. No, I'm not. No. But I respect I respect the game, and I'll be the first one to sit here and say, who was better? Mm-hmm. And don't fucking tell me Brett Favre, because he wasn't. No. So, you know, but it was just, and then kind of going into this, to piggyback off of that and going to this offseason, he deserves as much time as he wants to sit back and decide on what he wants to do, and if he wants to move on and go somewhere else, or if he wants to move on and just be done with football. The guy's made enough money. Money's not the problem. It's not an issue, and he's going to be successful at whatever he decides to do.
Still running State Farm ads.
He's going to win another MVP, whether you like it or not. He's going to win another MVP this year. He deserves it. People were saying Brady. Fuck that. He doesn't deserve it. Between the two of them, and look, I'm a big time Brady lover, and I would root for Brady all the time, but he doesn't deserve it over Rodgers this year. No fucking way.
No. Let's jump back into some of these tweets here. See this one. Just continuing the Green Bay game at Tom Pelissero. The NFL's worst special team unit turned in one of the worst special teams performances in NFL playoff history, and appears to only have 10 men on the field for the winning field goal. I didn't really notice this until this morning.
Yeah, the 10-man thing.
Yeah, and I don't know if it was something they went over in the like the post game, but how does that? You have a field goal blocked, you have a punt blocked.
Yeah.
There's 10 points right there, and then you have
and with the 10 men on the field, it wasn't like it was a rush.
No.
San Francisco called the timeout.
Yeah.
They called the timeout, and so it wasn't like they were stopping the clock and rushing everybody out there, and where you could kind of get lost in a scramble. No, you were coming out of a timeout. There's no excuse for not having the right amount of guys on the field. Like, I think you count that every single time you
would think so.
You break the huddle from the sideline, leaving that timeout.
Do you think that would be one of the easiest things in the world?
Yes.
On a play like that,
I'm guessing there's a guy on the sideline that's his fucking job and his only job.
Yeah, and then
there's a lot of guys that they have the job of putting a coat on a player. Yeah. Some guys have a job of squeezing a water bottle, and there's another guy down there that has a job of counting the fucking players on the field. And we always have to have 11.
That's normally the case, but not in this one. But not in this one. I know we kind of skipped by Mike Golick Jr. at Mike Golick Jr. I know if Mr. Thornburg is watching, he's a huge Mike Golick Jr. fan. He says the two winning teams today combined. We're talking about Saturday. The two winning teams today combined for one offensive touchdown and gave up 13 combined sacks. To me, that is crazy. And to kind of pivot away from the Green Bay talk, but that was rightfully so. They were the number one seed. They've been the number one team in the NFC at least for quite some time, but Joe Burrow's going to die. Mm-hmm. Joe Burrow is going to die. And, we were one of the people that sat here and knocked I cannot believe you took a wide receiver instead of an offensive lineman. Yeah. The wide receiver has panned out greatly. Mm-hmm. But now moving forward, and I'm saying this right now, even if Cincinnati goes on and wins a Super Bowl, they need offensive linemen because you have a franchise quarterback who is, between him and Herbert, are going to be fantastic. They're both in their second year. I'm pretty sure Joe Burrow has been sacked almost as much. I mean, probably I think it was when they were playing the Raiders. Those two teams gave up the most sacks in the NFL. Mm-hmm. And you have a dude that's coming off a knee explosion. So they won the game. Mm-hmm. That's the most important part. However, Joey Burrow has got to be sore as fuck today. Yeah. Got to be sore as hell. But you know what?
The thing I love about him though is like he acts like completely unfazed.
Yeah.
You see him after the games. He's got some. Last week it was the goofy ass sunglasses he's got on. Last night he looks like with his wardrobe. He's taking a page out of Ryan Fitzpatrick's book. With what he's wearing.
Did he go shirtless?
Where he takes Deshaun Jackson's clothes.
Yeah.
And he's going. He got a cigar dangling from his mouth, and just the way that he acts. I love it. But yeah, you're exactly right. They have to get help with the offensive line. They have the quarterback of the future, and they have weapons that I would put up against about any team in the league. As far as what they have at receiver and what they have at running back, they're weapons that I would put up against anybody in the league. I'm not saying that they're the best, but they're comparable to everybody.
It's not very often you have, you mentioned Green Bay's receivers. Mm-hmm. Cincinnati had 3 dudes that had over 1,000 yards receiving.
Yeah.
Joe Mixon had over 1,000 yards rushing and missed some games.
And that's the biggest knock I have with Green Bay, and I think it kind of just, Devontae's so good, and I think he's so good that people kind of forget that Green Bay really don't have much else out there. Aaron Jones, phenomenal. What he can do.
Dylan
goes down at the very beginning of the second half, and that was huge. That was huge because I think they had to overuse Jones a little bit
coming off an injury.
Yes, and in a game like where they're low scoring, where every yard matters, in a game like last night,
he's your bowling
having
ball.
that big man, that bowling ball that gets every yard possible, he's going to get it.
Yeah.
That's just not the style of runner that Aaron Jones is. He's the guy that is going to be big in the passing game, which he was last night because nobody else would step up. So, Green Bay has to get another weapon to kind of take some of that pressure. I really thought Lazard was going to be the guy. I thought Lazard was going to have a big game last night. One catch.
If you are a Green Bay fan, it probably would have been nice to see MVS out there.
Sure.
But
he takes the top off of defense.
Yeah.
He's able to. He's their speedster. He's able to spread the field. A lot of times when you do see Rodgers complete that, that 50-yard pass in a game where he just heaves it up there, and it seems like he completes one of those every game he plays in.
Yeah.
It's always to him. Last night they tried to do that to Devontae. Devontae's being doubled. In that situation when they're throwing that to Scantling, he's not going to be doubled in that because you can't do it. So.
No.
It's more open, but yeah, I still go back to that draft, and there were so many good wide receivers in that draft. One of them playing for San Francisco last night, and Brandon Ayuk, who I believe Aaron Rodgers would probably love to have him as that second option.
Yeah, that was a very wide receiver laden draft for sure. And I think this is the last tweet here. Ari Miroff at My Sports Update. Again, Twitter guys, if you do not follow Ari, go. He throws some fire tweets out here. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers have won 6 straight games against Sean McVay and the Rams. #Rams. It's gonna be a good game. It's gonna be a big game. It's gonna be a big game. Well, since we got the tweets out of the way, let's go over some stats and kind of break down each one of these 2Ks. What do you think? Screen share. There we go. Make sure we got it. Yep, we got it. Let's do Saturday's game. Let's start with the Bengals Titans. This was a weird game. Really weird game. Derrick Henry really never got going. And I don't think it was health. I just think it was that Cincinnati defense was that keyed in on him. Yeah. And then they forced Tannehill to throw, and all Tannehill did was turn the ball over. And that was the key to the game to me. If Tannehill doesn't throw those picks, Tennessee wins that game.
Looks like some timing things with Henry. Obviously just not playing for such a long time, but it just seemed like some of the. And I'm talking like I'm a running back caliber player in the NFL, like I know what I'm talking about. But when you watch it though, it just seems that he's more of that one cut guy where he gets the ball, and it's like one cut and he's downhill and going. And with his size, that's the way he should run. Where last night it looked like sometimes he was getting, and credit the defensive line for Cincinnati, but it seemed like last night he was getting some handoffs and his feet were stopping it right there as soon as he was getting it, and he was trying to bounce things to the outside, and that's just not his game style. That's not the style of the Titans. So I think some timing, him not playing for so long was the problem there. And but one of my other just thing I want to throw up real quick about that is, is it really that big of a deal to go and get the home field advantage now in the playoffs?
It's not looking
after
like
watching these games. I was at the Green Bay and Detroit game in Week 18, and Rodgers plays for a half, and Devontae played for a half. They were sprinkling some offensive linemen in there, and I know they want to keep them fresh and all that, but when you take that much time off of playing, and then obviously last week they don't play at all, and the same thing with Tennessee, they don't play at all. I don't think it affects the defense all that much because your defense is going to be there all the time. It's going to travel all the time, but offense, when you take all that time off, and we saw it last night. Tennessee's defense was phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
9 sacks.
Yeah.
You get 9 sacks, you win that football game.
You would think so.
But the offense was just nothing. And Tannehill was rough and bad. And then it carried over to the night game with Green Bay, and their offense was just bad. It was almost like they played that game not to lose, like they were scared, which that offense shouldn't be scared of anybody.
No.
But that offense, putting up 10 points.
I think Hardman just scored.
That offense putting up 10 points, that's just...
Yeah, that was
it's
ridiculous.
not acceptable for that, for that offense. So, maybe having that time off is, come to find out, is bad.
Yeah, just to kind of go over some of the... Yeah, you're right. Burrow got sacked 9 times. Tannehill got sacked once. Burrow goes 28 for 37, 348 yards and 9 touchdowns. Or not 9 sacks, not 9 touchdowns. That would be a record. But Burrow does not throw a passing touchdown, has 1 pick.
That's an extra point.
Mixon has 14 carries, 54 yards. Tannehill goes 15 to 24, 220 yards. And if you're a Titans fan, that's where you want to see that line, with 1 passing touchdown. However, like I said, the 3 picks is what broke their back. Deontay Foreman had 4 carries for 66 yards. Henry did have 20 carries for 63 yards and a touchdown. And Jamar Chase, 5 catches, 109 yards. T. Higgins, 7 catches, 96 yards. A.J. Brown has a ballin'-ass game, 5 catches, 142 yards, and a touchdown. I did take him in a parlay with the over, and at the start of the game, it seemed like they were feeding Julio Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Like they were trying to get him going, which he had 6 catches for 62 yards. But it just seemed like early on they were like, we need to get him the ball. We need to get him the ball.
And I think that was a good plan. I mean, I think they do. They need. It's just like I was talking about with Devontae. You got to get somebody else to take some of that pressure off. They have to take some of that pressure off of Brown, and Julio is a good option, and obviously missing a lot of time due to injuries this year. I think it was very important to try to get him involved. That had kind of been the thing all season long. The conversation with them is Julio not being involved enough,
right,
when he was healthy. So
yeah, I totally agree. And I mean, if you are going to get it in one of your in a receiver's hands, he's usually a pretty good one to do that. But yeah, this one comes down to a field goal, which, if you're a sports card collector, I did see that I can't remember the dude's name, but one of his rookie cards is going.
Oh, Cincinnati's kicker,
Pearson, is on eBay for like $300.
Yeah.
So let's jump into Packers Niners. What do you say, 2Ks? All right. Yeah. Again, low scoring field goal. I mean, it seems like, and one of the tweets from the Bengals that I was gonna cut up was. It was all in caps from the Bengals Twitter account. Says that's why you draft a kicker. I'm like, you know what?
Hey, and this isn't
off.
the game. This isn't the only game that guy has won.
No.
He won the game in the final week of the season too with his kicking.
Yeah.
Over this Chiefs team that we're watching, that turned out to be a huge game for them.
He's been on absolute fire.
Yeah.
But Jimmy G goes 11 for 19, 131 yards and a pick. Rodgers goes 20 for 29, 225 yards, no touchdowns, no picks. Elijah Mitchell, 17 carries, 53 yards. Aaron Jones, 12 carries, 41 yards. I thought he had more than that, but I guess not. A.J. Dillon has the touchdown for the Packers. Kittle has 4 catches, 63 yards. We've seen the last couple weeks leading up to this where they pretty much just kept Kittle in and had him block. He might have had one catch a game, goes for 4. Aaron Jones actually has the most receiving yards, 9 catches for 129 yards. You mentioned it, Devontae had 9 catches, 90 yards. 2 receptions from other players, one being Alan Lazard for 6 yards, one by Mercedes Lewis for 0 yards.
And he fumbled.
Yes. And the only other, Randall Cobb was targeted once. Josiah DeGara was targeted once, and Dominic Daphne was targeted twice.
And one of them, I think it was the DeGara, the tight end over the middle, was a huge drop. I mean, Rodgers laid it right there and right in the breadbasket, and he dropped it.
Yeah. Yeah, and if we cruise down here,
that didn't take long.
No, and there was one thing that we are kind of seeing throughout these playoffs 2Ks is, are the playoff balls greased? Because it sure seems like there are a lot more fumbles going on than any other time that I've ever seen, which is weird because, we expect these teams to be on point. They're obviously the best teams left in the league. So Josh Allen just uncorks a fucking bomb. That is Diggs, isn't it?
No.
I
think it was the one that scored the first one, Gabriel Davis.
Oh, yeah. Yep. And, which is totally killing my parlay. I took the Josh Allen under, but...
Davis to score 2 touchdowns. Huh?
Yeah, well, I guarantee if you had that on FanDuel, you're fucking cashing that in. But no, overall thoughts on, like I said, I took every single favorite, every single home team. I'm 0-3. I'm 0-3.
I mean, with that game last night, it doesn't shock me. With it staying low scoring, that it happened. It played right into Kyle Shanahan's hands. I thought Green Bay. I thought they played. I said it earlier. I thought they played a little bit just too much, trying not to lose and trying not to make mistakes in that. And that was and to keep it low scoring against that defense, like. Man, that's playing right into Kyle Shanahan's hands. Yeah. I mean, he wanted that game to stay low scoring, and just have an opportunity in the fourth quarter to make something happen, whether it's special teams like it was, or or whatever. I've been saying it all off season, and I'm going to say it leading up to this game next week between them and the Rams, and why I picked the Rams to win this game. Look, I think Kyle Shanahan is the best coach in the NFL. I've said it 3 weeks in a row now.
Yep.
Him and those players did everything last night that they could to not lose that, to not allow Jimmy Garoppolo to lose that game for them.
He didn't.
Because he tried. He tried to lose that game for them. Some of the fucking throws where he's under duress and he just throws it without even looking.
Right.
And and Green Bay was not able to come up. They were only able to come up with one of them. Probably should have had 2 or 3 other ones. But they weren't able to come up with them. Jimmy G sucks, and that pass rush is going to be a little bit different. Green Bay's defense was awesome last night, awesome. But that pass rush he's going to see next week is going to be even better. And the no-look passes into the flats where you don't even know who the fuck's standing out there, that shit's going to be picked off, and it's not going to work. And that's why I think, this team can only do so much before Jimmy's just going to get the best of them. And I think that they've ran out of magic. They're not going to be able to stop him from losing this game for them.
Yeah, and we kind of talked about it last week, and with the coaching trees, and we're not seeing that Bill Belichick coaching tree win anything. But this McVay and that whole group, oh my God! There was a picture on Twitter that had the 3 coaches there, and they were on Washington's coaching staff.
Yeah, and then they added one last night. The special teams coach for San Francisco was the special teams coach on that.
There you go.
So they added a 4th one.
Yeah, they were in every position except for the most important one, which was Jay Gruden, wasn't it? Yeah, so we saw how well that went. But then again, that was probably the last time that Washington was actually relevant. I mean, granted, they had a good little run last year, but with the right coaching staff, I think that team could do really well. Heineke, I don't think is a world beater as a quarterback. He's good enough for right now.
Yeah.
But who knows with that team, because obviously it's been they've been in they've been in turmoil for quite a while. And if you took the Pat Mahomes over rushing yards,
yeah, he's hit that. He's taking some hits tonight, though.
Yes, he has. And currently it's 23-21. Kansas City's driving. Well, speaking of that 2K, let's jump into yesterday, or the early game today. The early game, and I will admit, this is one of the few times that I was one of those fool me once, shame on me, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, however that goes. Yes, Tampa was banged up. Yes. But this is TB12's seen this a million times. This is where, he defies all the odds, and he's the Superman, and gets the win when no one else, when all the odds are stacked against him. And I tell you what, 2Ks, he almost did.
Mm-hmm.
He almost did. Obviously,
with a lot of help.
Oh yeah,
with a lot of help because the Rams, they tried everything they could to give this game up.
They had slippery balls, dude. They had slippery balls. Stafford has a hell of a game.
He did.
I mean,
yeah, and that's what you think. When I say that, you would think with the Rams that the reason why they tried to to give this win away, you would think it would be interceptions. Well, It wasn't. It wasn't that. He kept on making the plays all the way down to the end.
Yeah.
He did have the scary almost fumble that wasn't a fumble there,
Yes.
even though he was able to recover it. And then after watching it,
Josh
he
Allen
was
had
down.
one of those too.
Yeah.
It was like I said.
Josh Allen's. That was just a lucky bounce.
Yeah.
That son of a bitch was out, and it come right back right into his hands.
Yeah, and especially with the Tampa game, like we mentioned, you can't blame that on the weather. It's Tampa,
Mm-hmm.
but Stafford goes 28 of 38, 366, 2 touchdowns. Brady goes 30 of 54, 329 yards, a touchdown, and a pick. Even my dogs don't like me bullshitting about Tom Brady, but Cam Akers comes off a game where he was amazing last week. He gets 24 carries for 48 yards. Leonard Fournette comes back off the injury list, 13 carries, 51 yards, 2 touchdowns. Cooper Kupp has an amazing game. 9 grabs, 182 yards and a touchdown. OBJ, 6 catches, 69 yards. On the other side, Mike Evans quietly has a game. 8. I don't really remember him.
Yeah, he had the one big play where he beats Ramsey for the touchdown, which comes at a huge time. I mean, they were finally able to get something open, but
yeah, he has 8 grabs for 119 yards and a touchdown, like you mentioned, the long one of 55. Gronk has 4 catches, 85 yards, caught that 42-yarder. So this was a game that, I think every football fan was just waiting for Matt Stafford to fuck this up. Just waiting for it, because that's what he's done in the past.
Mm-hmm.
And I keep telling people, he's never been on a team like this.
Yeah.
He's never had a coach like this. He's never had a defense or a running game or an offensive line like this. And speaking of offensive line, I thought there was more sacks than that. Brady got sacked 3 times, and it seemed like that offensive line was in his lap the entire game. I mean, Von Miller, that whole crew just got after Brady. Stafford was sacked twice for 11 yards. But, yeah, without looking at that stat, I thought that Brady got at least 5 or 6 times got sacked. Aaron Donald being a dude.
Brady took a lot of hits.
Yeah.
Not necessarily sacks, but kudos to Stafford. He's played 2 pretty much perfect games. He was perfect, I thought, last week. Arizona was obviously just trash that night. But I thought Stafford played perfect that night. Didn't have to do a whole lot. Didn't have to do as much as what he had to do today.
I think that's why people were like, this game, he needs to prove it because, he got his first win last week, which is understandable. You have to win something to get the momentum going, one would think. But everyone's like, well, that's why he did good. That's why, because they made it so he couldn't fuck it up. Getting back to like your Jimmy G thing. However, Matt Stafford is way better than Jimmy G.
No, not even. They're not even. It's not even a comparison.
No.
Jimmy G ain't winning games. He's just fucking not. He's just on a really, really good team all around. Defense, running game, offensive line, receivers.
He's Trent Dilfer.
Coaching, everything. Yes, and Jimmy G just. He just has to make sure that he doesn't fuck up at least 5 times. You can't go over that 5-time limit. So he just keeps on. This Niners team just keeps on finding ways to win. And then getting back to Stafford though, he was perfect last week. He was even better today. But as these playoffs go on, the defense and the challenge for him is just going to get even more. Because today the defense was better than what he had last week. Well, next week with this Rams with the San Francisco defense and the way that defensive line is playing right now.
Yep.
They were able to get a lot of pressure on Rodgers and make him not comfortable at all last night.
And
I think they're going to do the same with Stafford, and Stafford's going to have to play one of those games where he cannot turn the ball over next week, because if he turns the ball over and gives this San Francisco team a short field, that's when they're going to be able to put points on the board. It's when San Francisco has to, have these drives that go the length of the field. That's where I don't think that they can do that and keep up with this Rams offense.
They just showed a graphic that said that in this postseason, Josh Allen has 7 incompletions and 7 touchdown passes. Just an FYI. But no, you're in. One of the biggest things, if you are a Rams team or that 49ers team, the weather for the next game is going to be a whole hell of a lot better.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about going to Green Bay. If it snows, there's a problem in California, at least in those areas. You're not playing football in the mountains. So the weather, I mean, granted, it might rain, but that whole home field advantage type of thing is kind of gone because they're either playing in LA or San Francisco. I believe they'd be playing in LA, right? They'd be playing at SoFi.
Yep.
So they played was it week 17 or week 18 or some shit like that?
Yep.
That's where the Rams fans sold all their tickets to the Niners fans. I have a feeling that's not going to be the case next week. But yeah, you can take the weather and just throw it all out because even if it is raining, there's a roof in SoFi. It's not a dome, but there's a roof. So there really shouldn't be any reason why both of these teams should not be performing at their best.
Absolutely.
I know that was a long-winded way of saying it, but that was kind of the point I was trying to drive home. And let's grab some stats on this game real quick, even though we just entered the fourth quarter. And like I said, they did post that, they did share that, but Allen's 17 of 20, 195 yards, 2 touchdowns. Mahomes is 23 of 31, 190 yards and a touchdown. And Josh Allen is leading the way for rushing for the Bills, 5 carries, 45 yards. And we already mentioned that Mahomes is he's got 7 carries, 69 yards and a rushing touchdown, as well as Mecole Hardman. But most of those 69 yards came on that long 34-yard run. So Gabriel Davis has 3 catches, 98 yards and 2 touchdowns. Tyreek Hill, 8 catches, 63 yards. Byron Pringle, 4 catches, 24 yards and a touchdown. So this game is shaping up, 2Ks, to be one of those. Whoever has the ball last is going to win this one.
It might come down to, like we've seen with the first 3 games, a field goal. It's not going to shock me one bit. But man, I want Buffalo to win this game so bad. Just the fanboy in me. I'm ready for some new blood. I want to see some new blood out there. No disrespect to Patrick Mahomes or any of these Kansas City guys, but I'm just kind of sick of them. Sick of watching them.
And I mean, Bills Mafia deserves this.
Yes.
I mean, they're one of the
Allen deserves this.
They're one of the most passionate fan bases in the NFL. I mean, how many other teams do you know break tables and throw dildos on the field? I mean, come on. If you can't get behind that, what kind of football fan are you, period? And, yeah, the
what kind of human being are you?
Exactly. I mean, Bills Mafia, the Bildos. I mean, come on. And what was really funny about last week is, which we should have jumped on 2Ks, we could have got a ticket in Buffalo for like $35.
Yeah.
However, it was like 5 degrees. 5 degrees.
It would almost be worth it to experience that.
One of the guys in Firehand Chat, which is a card breaking channel that 2Ks and I watch, along with some others. One of the guys in chat actually went to the game, and they were serving beers warm because in 5 minutes they were frozen. So if they brought them out cold, they'd freeze before they got to you. So they were instead of taking them out of the cooler, we're setting them outside the cooler, which was probably colder outside than it was in the cooler. But yeah, he's like, man, you really had to drink them fast because they would freeze. So we were drinking beer slushies. So, but yeah, it would have been cool to go see. However, would I have made it the whole game? Probably not. But definitely cool. And I mean, let's be honest, $35 for a playoff ticket, that'd be pretty dope. That'd be pretty dope. Well, 2Ks, let's go to, let's do some picks for next week. Let's do some picks. We've already talked about Rams Niners. So I mean, we have two of the more younger, up and coming coaches, and I think all of them kind of, this is where these two guys are pretty much revolutionizing the NFL. They've taken the NFL by storm, and I really don't see that stopping. So, who you got? What's your take on it? What do you think is going to be the determining factor?
Well, I've already said it with them. I mean, I think the Rams' pass rush is going to be too much for Garoppolo, and I don't think he's going to be able to handle it. And I think he turns the ball over 2 or 3 times in this game, and this Rams offense is way too good for San Francisco to give away possessions. Mm-hmm. And if they give away possessions, that's going to lead to points for this Rams team, and I don't think. Last night, the weather played a factor in it to where I think the weather hurt Green Bay, even though that's what Green Bay wanted.
Yeah,
was that weather, but their offense was stagnant. I thought they played afraid. They played trying not to lose that game.
Yeah,
and they played right into San Francisco's hands. This game being indoors and for the Rams to be at home and not have to worry about weather's not going to be a factor at all.
No.
As long as Stafford can take care of the football and play like he has these first 2 games of the playoffs, which is not going to be easy. The San Francisco defense is very, very good, mm-hmm. and their defensive line has been, maybe the best of any team down the stretch of the season. So, they're getting to the quarterback, but if they can take care of it, I like this Rams offense a lot more than San Francisco's. So when I take it, the defense is kind of a wash. The special teams is kind of a wash. I look at the offensive style, and right now the Rams are way ahead of San Francisco offensively. So I think the Rams win it.
Man, that was almost a badass catch. Gabriel Davis is having a fucking game, dude. This might actually be a catch. But no, I'm with you on that. Even though I took the Bucs and Brady today.
What'd they call that on the field?
I thought they said it was incomplete, but it's 3rd and 15. But this, getting back to my X factor in this game is Matt Stafford. Stafford is leaps and bounds better than Jimmy G. The only part of the offense that is better in San Francisco is Debo. Mm-hmm. That's the only player, and the only reason I'm saying he's that good is he's that versatile.
He's so versatile, yeah.
I mean, he probably had the best rushing game that he ever mm-hmm. had in his life yesterday, and that was one of the big keys to the game. Mm-hmm. So Elijah Mitchell does his thing.
Sure. Yep.
But I mean, we saw the game today. Cam Akers did his thing. Sony Michel really didn't even play. Mm-hmm. Sony Michel was heating up down.
He was, yeah, he was. He was, and you see the Akers lay the ball on the floor on the ground, and at the end of that game, a huge possession could have blew the game right there. I mean, they were able to tie the game because of that fumble. Mm-hmm. Do we see that change? And as much as I hate on Garoppolo, and I think Stafford is the way better option here. Even weapons wise, I have to give the nod to the Rams. Yeah. Debo I love, but Cooper Kupp in the season that he's had this year, he has been the best receiver this year in the league. The numbers do not lie, and then the addition of Odell has just been huge for them
since they gelled. I mean, everyone thought he'd just step in and be a world beater, mm-hmm. but no, he even came out and said it today in the pregame. He said, it took us some time, and we were learning on the fly during mm-hmm. games, but. You kind of have to give a big kudos to OBJ, knowing how kind of volatile his personality can be, and how diva he can be. Just to kind of put that aside and be like, this is a fucking team. Mm-hmm. This is a team, and this Rams team has, for lack of better words, mortgaged the farm to get not only Stafford, Von Miller, and OBJ, 2 of them mid-season. I mean, they gave up a lot just to get Stafford. I mean, granted, by a lot, I mean like a first rounder and Jared Goff, who really gives a shit about Jared Goff. But it's just that win now mentality, and it's something that on Pat's show, he's like, I would much rather win right now. Give me players that I know what they can do right now, instead of
the Rams
instead of the draft.
Yeah, the Rams, they had their hands tied. Like they couldn't. They had to go and get a Matthew Stafford to play quarterback for them because look at all these big names that they had on the defense side of the ball.
Yeah.
They had invested everything into it, and they could not allow Jared Goff, to fuck that up and
To pull a Jimmy G.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Jimmy G tried everything he could to fuck that Dallas game up.
Oh, 100%.
The players on that team, all the great players on that team, offensively and defensively, and the coaching staff did not allow him to fuck it up.
Yep.
And the same thing happened last night. And the weather helped out too because the Green Bay just wasn't able to get their offense going and that. But the players and the coaches did not allow Jimmy G to fuck that up.
Well,
I don't think they can do it 3 times in a row.
Fuck this up.
I don't think they can do it 3 times in a row now, and keep him away from it. And I think I see this pass rush for the Rams getting to him and him making one too many mistakes.
Yeah, which I mean we've seen better quarterbacks do that throughout the season against that defense. So yeah, but I really don't see that.
But what we have seen this whole weekend, anything can happen in this league.
Yeah.
And if you don't bring it every single week, you're gonna get beat. And 49ers beat the Rams twice this year.
Yep.
It's hard to beat a team 3 times.
So it's just like that tweet I showed here. Kyle Shanahan and the 49ers have won 6 straight games against Sean McVay and the Rams.
Now, the Rams are playing their best football.
Yes.
The last 3-4 weeks. You give away the week 18 where that was a weird game because the Rams really couldn't do anything more. They couldn't put themselves into a better situation, and the Niners had to win. They had to win that game, or otherwise their season was over. So that game I kind of throw out there as a little bit of a wash, but you can't go back on that week 5 or week 6 in the season where that was just a drubbing. San Francisco kicked their ass. So, but this is a different team.
What would be really awesome right now is
that was when the Rams were just coming off of the Robert Woods injury, and we're still trying to figure out their identity a little bit on the offense.
It would really be awesome is if we get a Travis Kelce touchdown here. That would really help my FanDuel account right now. But do you think that do you think Cincinnati has any shot against either one of these teams?
I'm not counting them out.
No.
I'm not counting them out with Joe Burrow, and I'm not counting them out with all those weapons they have on the offense. And that defense has been freaking good.
Yeah,
they have been good.
And I, the one thing that I'm sure every sports analyst will break down is the pass rush for either one of these teams is not nearly as good as the one they just saw in Tennessee.
Yeah.
So Joey B might have a little bit more time to throw, a little bit less banged up coming out of this one. So they definitely have a puncher's chance for sure.
That week 7, I go back to the week 17 game with Cincinnati and Kansas City. That was like a playoff caliber game. I mean, watching that game that day was like watching a playoff game.
Awesome.
I mean, those teams just went at it, and Cincinnati had to win. I mean, Kansas City was fine where they were sitting that day, but Cincinnati had to go win that game. And Burrow went 30 for 39 with 446 yards and 4 touchdown passes. Jamar Chase, 11 receptions, 266 yards, and 3 touchdowns.
It's third and 1.
I'm not counting those guys out.
No, not at all. Not at all. It's 3rd and 1, and you have a backup tight end taking the snap. What the fuck is going on? Nice option play, dude. No one knows you're not going to fucking run it. Andy Reid, what the hell are you doing?
Taking a page out of Mike McCarthy's his book there where they... I still can't get over that shit in the game last week where they fake a punt, they pick up the first down, and then they try to do some shit where they're not going to sub out their special teams unit because then
we're going to waste
then
time
San
out,
Francisco
dude.
Can't. So they're going to just sit there and go in like a fucking duel standoff where Mike McCarthy's probably had the biggest heart on ever, and Kyle Shanahan was on the other side of the field with his hands in his pockets like, what a fucking idiot. I'm not wasting a timeout on this stupid shit.
No.
And then you get a delay game penalty out of it. It was just like Mike McCarthy is a biggest fucking idiot.
Yeah. He that's going to be a whole different podcast. Podcast topic because
how that motherfucker didn't get fired this week, it just is. I can't talk about it. I can't even talk about it because I just get too mad.
Yeah.
I get too mad that he still has a job right now.
Yeah. and pull the Friday. How did you get fired on your day off? You making a clubhouse? But no, to me, I think this AFC Championship game is going to be a lot more. It's going to be more exciting to watch the AFC than the NFC, because you're going to have two phenomenal quarterbacks, regardless, whoever makes it out of this game tonight, in the AFC side. On the NFC, we've got Stafford, who is pretty much doing what he was brought in to do. I mean, this is the reason why they for lack of better words, mortgaged the future to get him. They're seeing the dividends of their gamble pay off here, and where this is coming from compared to what led him there, getting all those picks and everything coming up to these games. I'm glad he got those out of his system then, and now they're just dominating. Because if for whatever reason he would have stumbled through the playoffs and still win, I think that would still be held over his head, and then we'd get a stumbling Matthew Stafford against a stumbling Jimmy G. And even if those two are stumbling, I'm still taking the stumbling Matt Stafford over Jimmy G any day. And Dustin, big shout out to you. We still got much love for you, but
yeah, I'm not saying anything bad about anybody on this San Francisco roster except for him.
except for him. Except for Jimmy.
Like I said, the players and the staff are just doing everything they can right now in this run to not allow him to fuck it up.
Could you imagine if Rodgers goes there?
Oh God.
Jesus. Somehow swings Devontae there too.
Yeah.
I don't think they'd ever lose.
No. No, I don't even want to think about it. I saw, as much as McAfee loves him, loves Rodgers in that relationship, bring him to Indy.
Well, he's talked about that. And Pat's done a good job too.
Because he would get his TV time and his time on the podcast all the time.
Yeah, he'd probably show up in studio.
Yeah, absolutely. And and I think that's important to Rodgers. Obviously, not going to be anywhere close to where I think he wants to be.
But that's a team too, dude.
Side.
That's
a damn good team, and to have that running have Jonathan Taylor, who probably maybe I'm not going to go as far to say he's the best in the game right now, because Derrick Henry, if he didn't have the injury this year, you're talking about those two.
Might have broke the rushing record.
Yes, yeah,
might have broke the rushing record, but that's a team too. You've got a great coach, a great offensive line. Yeah, great.
Got to be very important.
Yeah, and I mean, granted, you don't have a Devontae there, but you have a Michael Pittman Jr. who's just coming into his own. You got JT, you got tight ends. I mean, you do have T.Y. Hilton, he was banged up this year, but you're seeing that team grow and grow, and the defense is a stud. I mean, hell, you even put him in. You put Rodgers in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, that team's a dog too.
Yeah, they just don't have an offensive line.
No, and I'm sure whoever plays quarterback there, along with Najee Harris, will be thanking God if they do bring, which they have to. Yeah. They have to.
And I just don't understand. Like everybody, so many people are so gung ho on him going to Denver, and I just don't get it. I don't get it.
Denver's
I don't
a good
see the
team.
Denver weapons.
No,
like they have some decent receivers there, but they don't have like one that stands out to me.
No.
Javonte Williams kind of come around as a pretty
Jerry
decent
Jeudy
option. There? Yeah, but I still don't think
he really hasn't done much.
No, and
really hasn't had anyone to throw him the ball.
A very good defense. They have a very good defense, but now they're going through coaching change, so you don't know who's going to get that job there.
Yeah.
Vic Fangio, who we all know, one of the best defensive minds, probably needs to stay as a defensive coach.
Yeah.
But I think he'll definitely have a job next year as a defensive coordinator, because he's one of the best. But yeah, I would much rather, if I'm Aaron Rodgers and I'm looking at where I want to go, that's not going to go through a rebuild, where I can step in and we can compete for a championship. Colts got to be high on that list.
Yeah. Considering, I mean, everyone's clamoring for at least one more year with Carson, but if you give me the choice, it really isn't a choice. Aaron Rodgers or Carson Wentz? Are you fucking kidding me? I mean, that's the biggest slam dunk ever.
There's probably 28 teams in the league, 29 teams in the league that if they have any bit of a chance to bring Rodgers, they're going to fucking do anything they can to try to get him.
Well, if you want to think about it that way.
These two teams tonight are not going after him.
No.
The Bengals are not going after him. And the Chargers are probably not going after him. After that, I don't think anybody. I think everybody else is probably free game to be going after him.
Yeah, and you know what? But yeah. I mean, there's so many scenarios you could run through, and he's instantly going to make a team better. I mean, you look at the Jameis Winston Bucks. TB12 comes in there, that team wins a Super Bowl. Granted, they made some tweaks, but it was almost the same team, if you think about it. Tom Brady walking into that building made that building so much more relevant, and Aaron Rodgers does the same thing. I mean, you're talking about two potential Mount Rushmore quarterbacks that are both playing right now, and if they both retired right now, would be first ballot Hall of Famers, and each one of them have numerous records. So, but yeah, you're right. The Bills are not. I would much even at this point in their career, I would much rather have Josh Allen than Aaron Rodgers. I would much rather have Pat Mahomes than Aaron Rodgers. But you're right. The team should just be lining up and be like, "Here's a checkbook, Aaron. What do you just write down a number you're comfortable with?" And that's one of the things that I think is going to hold Green Bay up from possibly re-signing him is, are they going to pay him enough?
I don't think that'll be the problem. I mean, they do have some cap space issues because they have a lot of guys that are coming up right now, but I think they'll basically. And at the same time, I don't think Rodgers really cares all that much about the money. He's got plenty of it, and it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And he's going to be successful in whatever he chooses to do, whatever path he decides to go down after this league, because the guy's just fucking sharp. I mean, he's just a sharp individual, and he's going to be good at anything he does. But I think the most important thing to him is whether he decides he's coming back, where he decides he wants to go, what destination is this team ready to win? Are they ready to win right now? Because he doesn't want to go through this, this situation. And why would he? Tom Brady wasn't going to go anywhere where he wasn't going to be able to compete. He knew exactly where he was going. We're going to Tampa Bay, and he knew the players that were going to be there. He had players getting ready to come as soon as he signed, or as soon as he was traded.
He got Gronk out of retirement.
However it worked out. And I think the same thing can be said for Rodgers, because guys want to go play with them because they know that if I can set myself up on that team, it's like the LeBron James treatment. If I can make the cut where LeBron will keep me, because we know that LeBron basically is player / coach / GM there he gets to pick whoever.
He's like Jackie Moon.
So, but that's the reason why you want to go play with those guys is because you're basically guaranteeing an opportunity to at least get to the playoffs, and most years you're going to get yourself an opportunity to be in contention to win it all.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. But it's definitely something we're definitely going to keep an eye out. But I really do think at the end of the day he's going to end up staying. Devontae's going to stay, and because I mean I understand there's a lot of players coming up to be re-signed, and I know you can't keep them all. I know you can't. But if you're going to minimize a rebuild, you keep your two best foundation pieces.
I mean, you gotta have.
You would think so.
I mean, and they were asking the questions last night, and LaFleur was like, "Yeah, can't really, talk for him and what he wants to do and what he's going to do, but yeah, we want him back."
Of course.
I mean, anybody that has a brain, he's a very important piece, and why you have 13 wins in every season that you've been in the coach there, that's a very important piece. Yeah,
absolutely.
You obviously your shit, and you're very, very good at your job, but you take that individual out of that room, and things are going to change, and things are going to change drastically.
Well, it's like a top-notch carpenter having the best tools available. You take his hammer away and give him a screwdriver. He's still as talented, but he doesn't have the tools around to do the job well. So yeah, it's definitely gonna garner a lot of attention, and And I think you are right when you do say that it's not just going to be about the contract. It's not going to be about the price tag. It's about the communication, and
they're going to have to give him some control. They're going to have to give him.
And why wouldn't you?
Yeah, exactly.
That is the dumbest thing
thing
in the
with
world.
me. I don't understand why. Going back to when LaFleur first started there, and look, I know that he has no say in what goes on. This is all coming from GM and from people above him and people above Aaron that are making these decisions on what they do on draft day, what they do on the offseason. They might be able to put some input in,
Sure,
but they're not making these. When it comes to the last decision, they're not part of that. They're not making that final decision. Why would you not listen to everything that Rodgers says?
Like, hey,
you guys are one game away from the Super Bowl and LaFleur's first season, and you go out and you draft Aaron Rodgers' replacement.
Yeah,
there was no question whether Aaron was coming back.
5 years too early.
You drafted, and it wasn't, and you traded up for, and even not even that good.
No,
it wasn't like he was like a huge piece in that draft where it was like, this is a cannot miss quarterback. We're gonna get him. We're gonna plug him in behind Rodgers for a couple years, and when Rodgers decides that he's ready to pack it up, this is gonna be the guy that steps in. The motherfucker ain't even close.
No.
So,
and
then you look at these games where 2 years in a row now with the Packers, where you're looking at they're 2 or 3 players short of being able to get them to the Super Bowl, win the Super Bowl.
And it's not the backup.
And they don't have it there because they drafted a quarterback that's never going to play in anything meaningful for as long as Aaron Rodgers steps foot in Wisconsin.
And you would think that, a rookie contract is 4 years, first rounders 4 years with the fifth year option. This is what, year 2 of the Jordan Love experiment, and why would you not think that Rodgers is going to be there for all of that? I could understand. Okay, take that draft pick and move it from 2 years ago to 2 years from now, when Aaron's a little bit longer in the tooth, and then it'd be like, okay, I can see this now.
Look what Tampa did, where they take a flyer on Kyle Trask out of Florida, but they use that draft pick in the 3rd or 4th round and pick him up.
Yeah.
They're not trading up in the 1st round, where you can draft a player that makes your team instantly better right now.
Especially
Jordan Love
in that draft class.
When you're taking your 1st round pick, you're not taking a flyer. You're taking a guy that's going to make your team better.
You would think so.
Jordan Love doesn't make that team any better.
No.
It didn't even change. It didn't change anything on the roster.
His backup role did not play any part in the. They played a little bit that one game when Rodgers was out, but he sucked. Yeah. He sucked.
And the only thing with that whole draft that I will say that I'll sit up here and I'll tell you that I was wrong on is I knocked that draft the day after it happened on this podcast, and I said I don't understand why they're drafting a quarterback. I don't even understand why they come in the 2nd round and draft a running back. Well, I was wrong about A.J. Dillon because he's very important. Wrong. He's a very important piece.
A lot of people wrong. A lot of people are wrong about that one. A lot of people.
But I'm not wrong on the quarterback in the 1st round.
No. And you know what? Even if they do trade away that piece, being Jordan Love, if they trade that away, and he still comes back and balls out, so be it. At what point are you like, we royally fucked up and we need to at least get something out of this, rather than the dude sitting around and being awful when he goes in?
I don't give a fuck if Jordan Love is good enough right now to be a starting quarterback in the league.
It was
still the wrong decision to make at that time when you had Aaron Rodgers.
100%.
It was the wrong choice. It doesn't
100%.
matter.
And yeah, it was definitely the pick of the draft that everyone was talking about. Like, why is this? Why? And if you're Rodgers, I could. Yes,
piss me
that's
off.
a slap in the
piss
fucking
me
face.
Off.
And
especially when I'm getting ransacked by San Francisco's defensive line last night, and I only got one wide receiver out there that can get us any separation at all.
Yeah.
That's when I'm pissed off. This is when I say, okay, I wish I. This is when I. But a couple years ago, when you guys drafted my replacement in the 1st round, you traded up to get him. Yeah, we should have probably taken a receiver there
and saved some of those picks. Gunta Kuntz. We got 2Ks fired up. I fucking love it. I love it. Well, 2Ks. We're about to. We ran over a little bit, but that's okay. Anything else we should wrap up here? Besides that Mike McCarthy sucks?
No, I'm 2.5 minutes left in this game.
It's 26-21 Kansas City.
Before we see
Beasley is about dead.
Where we are at right now in the game, a field goal cannot win it. So maybe we're going to see a different outcome.
That's true.
I took Beasley's head off.
Yeah, he did. Like I said, he almost died. Well, 2K crew, we'll get you out on this. Let's this game is bound to be. There's still 2.5 minutes left. There's a lot of fireworks left.
Probably
in this
two
game.
more touchdowns left in this game.
Yeah, especially the way these offenses are rolling. So we'll get you out of here on this. Have a great week, and as always, Jim Rome, we're coming for you.